Welcome, everybody, to Intensity Broadcasting for coverage of the iOS Truck Series. Tonight, these trucks will be taking on the fictional iRacing Superspeedway for 45 laps, and this should be a fun one. First race of the season. These drivers want to start the season off with a bang, and I'm going to be your announcer tonight, Atlee Weiss, and joining me tonight to call the action is an iRacer, and he's raced with a lot of these guys, Dylan Redding. Dylan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Atlee. It is good to be here. It's been a while since you and I did this, so I'm excited. You know, the iRacing Superspeedway, it may be a fantasy track, but the racing is real. It's competitive. These guys ran a race here. A lot of them ran a race here last night. They've got some experience under their belt, and they're ready to go get a win, so we should be store for some good action tonight.
And I know a lot of people are thinking, I have never ever heard of iRacing Superspeedway. iRacing Superspeedway is a fictional track that iRacing put into their platform, and these trucks can hit blistering speeds way over 200 miles per hour, and you can go a lot faster than you could normally go at, say, Daytona or Talladega, because if we look at the race info, the length of the track is 2.95 miles. So if you round it up, that's 3 miles. And it has very, very long straightaways, which means that you can build up a ton of speed. Almost looks like a larger version of Martinsville, if you look at the map.
Yeah, that's right. Imagine a race at Daytona or Talladega with no restrictor plates, nothing preventing these cars and trucks from maximizing their horsepower. When they get in the draft and get chained together, you see some extreme speeds, which makes these cars difficult to control, especially in these very steep corners.
So this, again, should be a challenging one for these drivers. If you missed last season, this is Season 3, last season of the iOS Truck Series. Logan Hagerman ended up getting the championship for Intensity Racing Team, so he's looking to try to get 2 in a row for his championships, and it would be good to start off the season off with a bang for him. We do have some new drivers. For example, Josh Hall. He is in his first ever iOS race. Let's see how he performs. Do have some other familiar faces as well. So this should be a fun one for sure. With 1 minute left in practice, last season's champion, Logan Hagerman, he has the fastest lap of the race with a 46.33 lap time. Pretty fast time. Behind him, we got Dave Wright and Joseph Wright with pretty much identical times, 46.34, and then it's going to come down to the thousandths after that. Both of them very experienced super speedway racers, and then Mark Shavers with a 46.42 in that 4th spot. So these drivers are setting some good times, but most of those were set in the draft, so it'll be interesting to see who has the fastest car when not in the draft. As looks like we're wrecking right there. So many things can go wrong, especially at a track like iRacing Superspeedway.
And Atlee, one thing that I really like about the iRacing Oval Series is their season ended 2 weeks ago, and they're right back here, ready to race again. Logan Hagerman won the championship. Congratulations to him, but the rest of these guys have put that behind them, and they're ready to compete and go after the next one. So no rest for the weary in iOS. It's a good thing to see.
For sure. Practice has officially concluded as we are now getting set for qualifying. Let's see who is going to set the fastest time. We already have some drivers getting onto the grid as we'll watch some of the different drivers. There's Dustin Dean. He won the iOS Cup Series champion a couple seasons ago. Let's see how well he's going to do. Got Josh Hall, very experienced super speedway racer. This is his first ever qualifying in the iRacing Oval Series. Brett Merle.
I'm looking forward to seeing how Josh Hall does. As you said, first ever iRacing Oval Series race, but people who have been listening to the Intensity broadcasts of iRacing Oval Series, Josh Hall, certainly a familiar name, so I'm interested to see him get in here and mix it up with these guys.
Any other new drivers worth noting?
You know, I see Mark Shavers up here at the top of the boards for practice times. he's a newer driver to iRacing Oval Series. He's somebody that really emphasizes Superspeedway racing, and I think he's got a chance to really do well tonight.
And I know that there are a few other specialists as well in the iRacing Oval Series. This race is definitely going to let some of the Superspeedway experienced drivers shine. This looks like many drivers are starting their first timed lap. Let's see how everybody does. And again, this is not in the draft, so the results might be a little bit different. There's Brett Merle.
Yeah, turning a fast time at this track, it really comes down to how well you hug the bottom of these corners where the banking is steepest, and keep the wheel as straight as possible, keep the car as smooth as possible. If you get any movement in that wheel or in the tires in the corner, you're costing yourself time. And a lot of these guys are staying high, close to the wall on their first lap to build momentum. We should see them duck way down to the bottom on their second lap to get the fastest time they can.
And already we got some drivers jumping to the board. Heading to the top is Daniel Michel in that number 26 machine, 50.31. He set a pretty fast time. Second, he won the Daytona race for the first race in the iOS ARCA series. That's Derek Chaput. And then there's Greg Froelich, the legend, jumping to second with a 50.53.
I see Eddie Morris up at the top of the board. He's another guy that considers himself a Superspeedway specialist. He won a race in iRacing Oval Series in Season 2 at a Superspeedway, and I know that he's looking to really kind of compound on that and get himself back into victory lane.
And look who jumps to the top of the board. It's that number 23 machine of Brett Merle. And as I say that, improving on a second time, Daniel Michel with a 50.13. And Russell Martin says in the chat, starting from the back for my safety and yours. And that actually puts into perspective, we're going to actually see a lot of different strategies. Although we are covering qualifying, looking to see who's setting the fastest times and such, some people aren't even going to qualify at all. And that's going to be from personal preference. A lot of people think that if you stay in the back, it's going to make it easier to avoid some of the early wrecks. And a lot of times it can definitely work. So we'll see who all, besides Russell Martin, is going to decide, I'm not going to set a time.
It's certainly a reasonable strategy, Allie. There is a point in the championship standings available to the pole winner. But if you don't think that you really have a shot at the pole and you're just going to end up in the middle of the field, maybe it's a better idea to just go ahead and go to the back and try to stay out of trouble and keep your truck in one piece.
Now, we'll say, in the ARCA race that I participated in, a lot of the wrecks did happen in the front or in the middle, so I think that if I could have done a do-over, I might have tried to stay in the back a little bit longer. So, we'll see how all their strategies play out. Mark Shavers, as you mentioned earlier, he's a Superspeedway specialist, enjoys those Superspeedways. He gets to fourth with a 50.19. Dave Wright, he got to second with a 50.13. And if you look at some of the top speeds that these drivers are hitting, not in the draft, we see 220, 221, 222 miles per hour, and 10-4, Noah. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Is that better, Noah? Looks like some people says my volume's a little bit loud. Devin Buccino says time to start this season like we started last. Man, the season finale was a fantastic race.
Yeah, Devin, referencing back to Daytona in the trucks in Season 2, he won the first race of the season, so I'm sure he's looking to repeat that here tonight.
4. So it looks like pretty much everyone who's going to set a time has set a time. We do see, though, Bobby Mays on track. He gets a 50.30.
Looks like the number 1 of Jackson Qualley is on the track. Looking forward to seeing what kind of lap he can turn. Of course, he's got a special sponsor, Athlete. Didn't you have something you wanted to say about that?
Yeah, so I was asked to do a shout out for Haley Deegan Racing, which is on that #1 Jackson quali machine. So again, shout out to Haley Deegan Racing, the best driver in the Camping World Truck Series.
Yes, and a particular fan of one Dustin Dean, I believe, is Haley Deegan. So, HDR, Haley Deegan Racing, best of luck, Jackson Quali. I'm sure you're going to represent her well.
There you see Jackson's profile. Looks like they even have an iRacing Oval Series sticker or graphic on the wall. That's dedication to an iRacing series right there, to have a logo plastered onto your wall.
You know, I don't know if he can get away with saying that he's just sending it now that he's an iOS champion. He might have to admit that he's got some talent. I don't know.
And Kyle Mays to the top of the board. He is the first driver to break into the 50.0s with a 50.07 scorching time for that number 55 machine. He had a top speed of 225. Looks like Kyle Mays might know something that some of these other drivers might not.
That's a fast lap, Adley. And of course, once the race starts and we get into a situation where we're talking about drafts, the ability to hold a fast lap on your own may be a little less relevant, but the fact that he can put down a lap like that really shows his understanding of this racetrack, and I bet it's going to do him favors as the race begins.
Let's see. You have Cody Moore on the track. He was your Season 2 iOS Cup Series champion. And he is 9th right now on the board, 50.24. We see Jackson Quali jumps to 11th with a 50.26. And right now, if you look at from 1st to 24th right now in qualifying, only 0.3 separates these drivers, so qualifying time is extremely close to each other. Again, we look back, Cody Moore on track right now. See if he can improve on his second time.
Josh Hall just came on the radio and said, I can actually hear all of the radio conversations for once. This is a new way to experience an iOS race. It's certainly entertaining to hear all the chatter throughout the race.
Yep, and if we are confused with anything and need confirmation on something, we will go ahead and look at the iRacing chat. I know it can be very useful. For example, Mike Rentz downshifted right in front of me, and they didn't know on the broadcast until he said it on the chat. So always fun when a driver downshifts right in front of you. Hopefully that does not happen tonight here at iRacing Superspeedway. Of course, never know what's going to happen. And getting a little bit loose off of 4 is Cody Moore. Sylvan Seguin in that 66 machine, 13th. 50.26 is his time. Fastest time so far. And I don't think he's going to have enough time to complete his second. We have 10 seconds left in practice.
And we've got 26 drivers that put a lap down, Atlee. I don't know. That's a little bit more than I maybe expected. I thought maybe 20, 21 drivers would do a lap and the rest of the field would opt to start in the back. But we saw a lot of people go out there and see what kind of lap time they could put down.
All right, so qualifying has concluded. So let's go ahead and take a look at our starting lineup here for our feature event with a scorching time of 50.071. Kyle Mays is your pole sitter. Daniel Michel starting second with Dave Wright third. Outside of him, it's Eddie Morris, and then rounding out your top 5, it's Mark Shavers. Intensity Broadcasting Zone, Joe Wright starts 6th with Brian Merle Jr. 7th, Brett Merle 8th, Cody Moore 9th, and then rounding out your top 10, it's that 7 machine hailing from Canada, Logan Hagerman. Jackson Quali starting the race in 11th with Devin Buccino 12th. In 13th, we have Sylvan Seguin, Kylan Willems 14th, and then rounding out your top 15 with 2 pedals, 1 clutch, it's Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence. Dustin Dean starts the race in 16th, Chris Wheeler 17th, Bobby Mays 18th, 19th is going to be Bailey Jones, and then rounding out your top 20, it's going to be that 49 TJ Floyd. Michael White in the 09 starts the race in 21st. Also from Canada, we have Nick Mather. Josh Hall in his first race in iOS history. He's starting in the 23rd spot. 24th is Mike Rentz. 25th, it's the legend, Greg Froelich. Then we have Derek Chaput, 26th. Isaiah Gill, 27th. Todd Mays, 28th. We have Russell Martin in the 29th spot. And then 30th, it's going to be Stoney Benfield. Then starting 31st, by the way, I do want to mention after Derek Chaput, all these drivers did not set a time. 31st, Keith Miller. 32nd, Zach McBride. 33rd, Michael Provolt. 34th is Max McClure. And then starting last but not least, it's Brandon White. So that is the starting lineup. We got a good field of 36. Oh, looks like Blake Hensley just got into the session. So it looks like it's going to be 35 drivers. Good field.
And Adley, as we transition to the race, I'm looking at the race info. Just as a reminder to our viewers, they have 1 fast repair tonight. And looks like 3 sets of tires, which is plenty for a super speedway like this. But keep an eye on that 1 fast repair. What trouble tends to strike at a track like this, you're lucky to not get caught in an accident at some point in a 45-lap race. So look for these guys to use that fast repair judiciously and hopefully have a clean truck at the end.
Now, some more race info. Air temperature, 67 degrees, 24% humidity. Cloudy skies, 4 miles per hour wind speed. Track temperature is a little bit hotter, but still decently cool. 83 degrees, and track length is 2.95 miles, pretty much 3 miles long. And then the track is technically located in Concord, Massachusetts, which is where iRacing is based in. Again, this track is fictional. It's a very weird track, long straightaways, and if you look as we come, let's look at the cockpit. Here's the banking right there. That is some steep banking. I'm not sure the exact degrees of the banking here at iRacing Superspeedway, but it looks to be much larger than, say, the banking on Daytona or Talladega.
I don't think you could walk up that corner, Adley. I mean, it's really steep.
I agree. Here we go. Getting set to go. Green flag racing, 45 laps.
Green, green, green.
Here we go. The green flag is out here at iRacing Superspeedway. Kyle Mays, Daniel Michel start on the front row as we see the cars fly by side into turns 1 and 2. Daniel Michel fall in behind Kyle Mays. Dave Wright settles into 3rd, and he's actually going to move up to get with Eddie Morris and Joe Wright.
You see these guys scramble for position on the backstretch and really spread out across the track. Interesting thing about this track, you can spread out on the backstretch, but you see them all dive towards the bottom in the turn and really push against each other. That's going to be something we need to keep an eye on all night long, as it cause trouble when cars try to take the same real estate.
Here comes Cody Moore on the outside. He's hooked up with Devin Buccino. Him and Kyle Mays and Daniel Michel are side by side, and making it 3 wide is Colin Williams, also up there as well. So we're seeing the different lines start to come into play. Cody Moore falls in line behind Daniel Michel.
Some great racing these first 2 laps as there was 2 distinct lines. But you can see already that the bottom line is going to be the preferred lane. A lot of trucks are slowly making their way to the bottom. Just because of the way these corners are structured, it's a lot faster on the bottom. You need a lot of help in order to survive on the high side.
So I bet in the Discord chats, you got a lot of drivers communicating with each other, trying to see if they're going to try to hook up, make a run for the front. We see right now the leader of the top is that 74 machine of Brian Merle Jr. He's getting pushed by Devin Buccino. Let's see if they can get a run. Behind those two, it's Dustin Dean. It looks like Devin Buccino is going to move down to the bottom. See a lot of moving around going on right now on the top.
It looks like our leader, Kyle Mays, he's just going to stick that truck on the bottom. He's going to hit his marks, and he's going to hope that Daniel Michel continues to push him from behind. Those guys seem locked in to each other. We'll see if they can maintain the advantage.
Here comes Cody Moore to the high side. He's going to hook up with Dustin Dean and TJ Floyd. And
All right,
right
man,
before this, and caution's out. Oh my. I am not sure what happened. We'll get the wreckage replay up.
It appears there was contact with Dustin Dean. He's in the wall, but I think that may have happened after the yellow. I'm not really sure what brought out the caution.
Oh, looks like it was Brian Merle Jr. We have the replay just to get the full story. All right. Boom. All right. All right. The replay is up. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened. Let me actually rewind a little bit farther. So right now, Josh Hall, Brian Merle Jr., they were side by side. And looks like Brian Merle Jr. might have moved down the track a little bit up. He turned the wheel right to avoid hitting Josh, and he went right into the wall. Makes some contact with, I believe that's the 16 of Nick Mather. Froelich gets some damage.
Yeah, once a car gets loose in front of you, like Brian Jr. did there, it's just really hard for these other guys to get out of the way. Just keep in mind, they're going 250 miles an hour. The reaction times are so tight, so small at a track like this. So unfortunately, you see a couple guys get caught up there.
So let's see what happened to Dustin Dean. Looks like he got loose. You are correct. Something did happen to him. He looks like might have just flew up the track a little bit there, right into the wall.
Yeah, you know, when you come out of turns 2 and 4 onto the backstretch or front stretch, there's this strange kind of bump as the banking levels out, and with the caution coming out, maybe he hit the brake at the wrong time, and the track just sort of sent him up towards the wall. But unfortunately, some contact with the outside wall there gives him some damage that he probably was looking to avoid, considering the wreck was behind him.
So that is the explanation for that incident. We got some drivers heading on the pit road. Josh Hall, Dustin Dean, Joe Wright, Jackson Qualley among some of the drivers on pit road. But one driver who stayed out, he's seeming to be pretty content right now up front. Kyle Mays doing very well. And while we're under caution, I do want to shout out some of the people in the chat. Corley Mather says, let's go Nick and Colin. Cassie Williams says, let's go Colin and Mather. Adam in Crystal Baston says, let's get it Mather. It looks like we're kind of seeing a trend where a lot of people are pulling for Colin and Mather. That's because we got the bot squad rolling up. They've got a little bit of a split decision here. We got both Colin Williams and Nick Mather in this race. They don't know who to root for. Colin Williams is in 13th, Nick Mather is in 15th, so both of them are very close to each other on track. Also, Stephen Black says, what is Dustin Dean doing low? Again, there is a little bit of a bump on entry of the back and front straightaway, so it looks like, I believe, logically, looks like Dustin Dean probably hit that bump. But there's always something else that could have happened. I don't know.
It's hard to say. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that the track jumped up and bit him when the yellow flag came out.
Yep, there are so many things that can go wrong. Again, this track is very, very weird because it is a fantasy track.
And as some of you viewers are familiar with the old video game NASCAR Racing 2003, which sort of predated what we now play, iRacing. That was where this track originated. It was called Coca-Cola Superspeedway, and it was a track that was beloved by fans of NR 2003. iRacing, at some point late last year, added it to this game, and it's now a beloved part of iRacing as well. So we're happy to have it. It is a fantasy track, but it's one that carries a lot of importance to people who have been doing computer auto racing. So definitely a worthy part of the sim.
Now, that brings up the discussion question. Should iRacing maybe add more fantasy tracks from some of the older video games? Because you gotta look back at the roots. iRacing would have not been possible if it hadn't have been from some of the earlier games. NASCAR racing, the old Papyrus games.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to what do the users of iRacing want their experience to be, and what do the people that run iRacing think will help expand their platform to future users. I think right now they mostly want to emphasize realism and tracks that are happening in real life, but at the same time, they're about to release the Chicago Street Course, which at this point is a fictional stock car circuit. So it's certainly something that they're moving into, and will probably continue to move into in the future.
Brian Nudie in the chat says, go Colin, and then Steven Black says they should bring in Bone Crusher. About to go back green here. We're going to restart the exact same way as we started this race. Kyle Mays on the bottom, Daniel Michel on the top. This is kind of a do-over for a lot of these drivers. Some of them have made their way up through the field. Let's see if we can see some more movement. There goes the pace car onto pit road, and green flag is back out. The starts are on the flag man, restarts are on the leader, and there goes Kyle Mays off like a jet. See, right now he gets clear of, it looks like Daniel Michel has actually fallen back. Moving into the second spot is Mark Shavers. He started the race in fourth. He's moved up a couple positions. Keep
an eye on the 37 truck of Derek Yapu. He started 26th, he's up to 6th. I believe that's partially due to the fact that he did not pit, and he also managed to stay out of trouble when there was an incident back there. So he finds himself up in the top 10.
Oh, contact! I just saw some drivers wreck in the corner of my eye. Big wreck right there. Let's take a look at the wreckage replay to dissect what happened.
Looks like TJ Jones and or TJ and Bailey are involved in this, and it could have been a lot worse. The field did a great job using their reactions and wreck avoidance. This was in front of the whole field. It could have taken out a lot of people.
So let's take a look at the wreckage replay. And like you said, here's TJ Floyd getting the draft. Looks like he's behind Daniel Michel. And there's some contact on the bottom. And, ooh, I think Eddie Morris and Mark Shavers might have made a little contact. Mark moves up the track right into the 49. You see Bailey Jones make some contact. And big wreck, but, ooh, we see, is that Colin Willems? Looks like he was involved.
Yeah, it looks like some additional cars getting together up there towards the front. Really nowhere for TJ to go there. He was just caught in something that he had no control over. It's definitely unfortunate for him.
So early on, I think we're seeing a lot of drivers already potentially having to use their fast repairs. And we're still very, very early into this event. So I think as we see more and more cautions come out, if we see more cautions come out, after, I'd say, a certain amount of cautions, I think we might see some more conservative racing because drivers are going to try to save their fast repairs. Of course, a lot of the drivers up front don't have a scratch at the moment, including drivers like Kyle Mays, who's pretty much been up front all race long.
Yeah, the lead is probably the safest place to be. You got everything behind you. Kyle certainly likes the view out of his windshield. I'm sure he'll be looking to keep it that way. You know, they say cautions breed cautions. when you have a restart and everybody's bunched up together, that just really increases the chances the cars are going to run out of real estate and make contact with one another. So unfortunately, we saw that on this restart. Hopefully, these drivers will be looking to keep it clean on this next restart so we can get some more green flag racing.
We'll say Dustin Dean, who was involved in a previous incident last caution, he avoided the wreck and he's made his way up to 10th, so watch out for that 21. The rest of the top 10, 9th is Nick Mather, 8th Chris Wheeler, 7th Dave Wright, 6th is going to be Logan Hagerman, 5th is Derek Chaput, 4th Eddie Morse, 3rd Daniel Michel, 2nd spot it's Cody Moore, and then staying in the lead is Kyle Mays.
It does look like we have 4 trucks at the tail end of the grid, or 3 trucks actually, that are now a lap down. Bailey Jones, Stephen Pacino, and Mark Shavers. All 3 of those trucks were in the top 10 at one point earlier in this race, so certainly incident related and unfortunate for them. But there's still plenty of time left in this race for them to hopefully get a wave around and make their way back to the front.
Let's see. So right now, again, we're a short amount of time into this one. I think some of these drivers might see their strategies changing a little bit from what they've learned so far.
Yeah, it looks like only 2 trucks came down to the pit road this time. A few guys towards the front have yet to pit at all. They cannot make it on fuel to the end of this race. They will have to pit at some point. Tires not really an issue at this track, so it really comes down to fuel strategy. When do you want to make your pit stop in order to be good to make it to the end?
Now, I do want to look at the rest of the schedule. This is a pretty awesome schedule for the Truck Series. After this, we're going to have Kansas, Nashville Fairgrounds, Atlanta, Homestead Miami Speedway, Chicagoland, Michigan International Speedway, Daytona Road Course, Iowa Speedway, North Wilkesboro, then for the round of 12, Charlotte Motor Speedway, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, round of 8, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Talladega Superspeedway, and then Phoenix Raceway for the final 4. So a lot of awesome races, including the Atlanta race. That should be a fun one, as it'll be the 1 season anniversary of the incident.
The incident. And iRacing Superspeedway, one of several new tracks for iRacing Oval Series this season. I'm particularly excited for when we go to Iowa later this season. That is a great track for trucks. It's a track that the Cup Series does not go to. So it's a unique event for this truck series, and I think it's going to be a great example of how these trucks can get out and run multi-groove short tracks. So I'm excited for that one.
And there goes the pace car onto pit road. We're getting set to go green, or back green, I should say. And there we go. The leader takes off. Kyle Mays crosses the start-finish line. We officially have 12 laps in the books. Side by side for second spot, we got Daniel Michel, Cody Moore. Behind them, behind Daniel, it's the 37 of Derek Chaput. Looks like Eddie Morse is going to pull in line. Onto the bottom, Daniel Michel sucking right up to the back bumper of the 55.
Yeah, that's some good driving there. It's hard to bump drive these trucks in the corner of this track. I saw a lot of guys practicing that in the warm-up this evening, and it resulted in some crashes. It's definitely hard. So Daniel Michel not being shy, giving Kyle Mays the push he needs to stay in the front.
And right now we got pretty much a group of 4 that is kind of ran away from the rest of the field. Kyle Mays, Daniel Michel, Derek Chaput, and Cody Moore. Here comes Cody Moore venturing to the outside. He's going to pull back down as he can't really get a good run. You see Logan Hagerman coming on the bottom, passing Cody. See if these drivers can catch back up to the leaders, as they've got a decent gap.
Derek Chaput up to 3rd now. And remember, he started in the back. I believe he was our slowest qualifier. Also the winner at Daytona in the ARCA Series this Monday. He is a good Superspeedway driver and is showing showing how he knows how to get to the front. So I'm wondering what he's got planned for the rest of this race.
Right now, as we hit lap number 14, nobody has been able to pass Kyle Mays for the lead. Let's see if somebody can get up there for that top spot. We see some drivers on the outside. Eddie Morris. It's just right now, we've seen so many attempts from drivers trying to start the outside line, and all of them have been unsuccessful. So again, whether on the iRacing chat or in Discord, I'm sure some of the drivers are definitely talking with each other to try to set up a plan to make some moves to get up front.
Yeah, when the race sort of filters out the way it is right now, where most, if not all, of the trucks are on the bottom, it's next to impossible. Get a run on the high side. If you can get enough help so that the field is almost evenly split between top and bottom, the top becomes a viable way to make passes. But right now, you see Cody and Dustin trying to make it happen on the high side. They're just not going to get enough momentum to make up a lot of ground up there right now unless they get some additional help.
We see Mather up there as well, but I'm not sure if he can get up there. Eddie Morris pops up to the top, and Blake Hensley. That's a storyline right there. Blake Hensley joined the race right as we were gridding for this feature event. And as I say that, another caution comes out. Ooh, we see some big names get involved in that. So we'll get the Wreckage Replay up.
It looked like that high line was finally going to hook up, and unfortunately we've got a caution here that's going to momentarily pause the action. But just as I said, although the trucks were sticking to the bottom, they immediately proved me wrong.
Yep, these drivers definitely need a good green flag run if they want to try to make that high side work. And oh, it's in front of Greg Froelich. Looks like that's the 74 of Brian Merle Jr. This is the second wreck that he's been involved in. Let's take a look at what happened, and this is almost a deja vu. Side by side with Josh Hall, moves up to the top, tags the wall, right in front of Nick Mather. Froelich is involved.
Yeah, nowhere to go for the legend. I bet if you watched that incident from his point of view in car, he probably couldn't see anything from that smoke. It's just unfortunate that he couldn't get out of the way there. And it does feel like we just saw this wreck a few cautions ago, very similar to our first caution.
And I just now realized, as you said, that was the same wreck. Wait.
Well, here I thought that I had a good memory, but you're just jogging it with old replays.
I don't know what happened. All right, there's the actual thing that happened, and this actually happened very, very far from the leaders. So right now we're watching Brett Merle side by side with the 75, and the two just make some contact and right into the wall there. And looks like nobody else was really involved in that one. Only Brett Merle and that 75 machine.
Yeah, I don't know if Brett thought he was clear and just unfortunately came down onto Stoney, but that's probably going to require fast repair for those guys. It's an unfortunate incident for them.
Now, a lot of the leaders, Kyle Mays, Daniel Michel, Blake Hensley, all of them went into the pits, and the only drivers that stayed out pretty much were Jackson Qualley, Josh Hall, Joe Wright, Sylvan Seguin, and right now the leader, Dustin Dean.
And I believe with the leaders finally coming in to fill up their fuel tank, that is going to cycle through everybody who has not yet pitted. So I think these guys are going to be good to the end on fuel. So, never say never. But I think that these guys are probably going to stay out now unless they have to repair some damage.
So, let's see. Corley Mather says the numbers are mixed up. Nick Mather is 17. Looks like It does say on the, it does say on the ticker that Nick Mather is 17, and he is the 17 on track.
I'm also hearing some chatter on the iRacing Oval Series radio that Dylan Redding, myself, is most likely bringing down the broadcast, and Atlee's probably is pulling double time to maintain the standards. I have to agree that probably is exactly what is happening.
I don't know. Here's the thing. My main thing is I don't want to jinx anybody. I'm going to try not to jinx anybody. If I say your name, I did have a streak where if somebody wrecked and the announcer said it, it was considered an Atlee Weiss. And look, I think my reputation has ended. I don't think that's a thing anymore, and I don't want to start it again. So if I say your name, please don't wreck. Please don't wreck. And we're lights on the pace car. They have gone off, so we're about to go back green here. Dustin Dean restarting on the top. He chooses to restart on the top. Interesting choice. Sylvan Seguin is going to be restarting this race on the bottom behind them. Two of the Intensity Broadcasting cars. 81 of Josh Hall, 82 of Joe Wright. And if those two can get hooked up, both of them are very, very experienced super speedway racers. I think that if they can get hooked up, we might see the high line begin to work.
Kyle Mays led every lap of this race up until now. Now he finds himself in a different position, and I'm interested to see how his truck performs in traffic, whether he can find his way back to the front. Keep an eye on him. I believe he's in 6th place.
Yep, he's in 5th right now, which is, I don't know, the ticker might be wrong. I think he's in 6th because Jackson Pauly's on the bottom, but here we go, getting ready for the restart. Pace car pulls in. Here we go, Dustin Dean, Sylvan Seguin, green flag is back out, and Dustin Dean jumps off like a rocket. Having an awesome restart is Josh Hall in that 81. He moves into the 2nd spot, and already getting to 3rd is Kyle Mays. Looking behind them, we have Joe Wright in that 82 machine. And here comes Josh Hall getting a good run on the top. Is anybody else going to go up there to help him? Yes, Joe and Blake Hensley go up there. The top is getting a good run on the back straightaway. This is the first time we've really seen this all race. And I told you if these two could, oh, and no, actually Josh Hall was left out to dry, but Joe Wright and Blake Hensley are able to get out front with Joe Wright being in the lead, Blake Hensley pushing.
I thought that Joe Wright and Josh Hall were about to work together, and I think Josh Hall thought that as well, but Joe Wright saw an opportunity to get himself out to the lead, and he took advantage of it to the chagrin of Josh Hall.
Right. At the end of the day, you're the one that's going to win the race. There isn't like it really an owner points, which I think would be a good idea for this series. I know it's been in the works, but this is your race, and whatever move you make is going to affect you. So I think that Joe just saw a spot, and he took it, and there goes Kyle Mays to the lead. Joe back to the outside, and Dustin Dean takes the lead. A lot of moving around. We're really seeing the high line start to flourish right now.
Yeah, they were 4 wide there in the turn for a moment, and I just cringed a little bit because I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but these guys held it together, and great action here as they shuffle around for position.
Oh, Dustin Dean gets loose. What a save by that number 12. Oh, and we're wrecking, yeah.
Caution is out.
That's going to bring out the caution.
Yeah, Kyle Mays involved, a lot of trucks involved. Unfortunately, Dustin Dean saved it, but that doesn't mean everybody behind him is going to be able to save it. Just so hard for these guys when they're going 240 miles an hour.
Yep, when someone gets loose, somebody's going to slow down, and that's exactly what happened. So there we go. Let's take a look at what happened to Dustin Dean.
The legend is saying on the radio that the broadcast needs to show his in-car. I'm not sure if it was a Days of Thunder moment or what, but he's saying it was something.
Also, hold on, let me get the Wreckage Replay. I have a problem with SDK where when I hit incident, it's Groundhog Day and it plays the Greg Froelich incident. Let me try to get the actual thing that happened. But yes, we will definitely check out the in-car cam from Mr. the Legend, Greg Froelich. But first, let's take a look at the main source. Yep, it was the Greg Froelich incident that I had up. I apologize. I won't do that anymore. All right, here we go. So, Joe Wright pushing Dustin Dean. And looks like you might have seen some bump drafting go wrong. He gets the car a little bit loose, and both of them get some damage. But at first, it looks like nothing really happened, and then, Eddie Morris gets loose behind them, makes some contact with the 25. Hensley gets involved. Josh Hall gets involved. Lots of cars. Woo! One car gets some airtime.
That's just a Superspeedway chain reaction. The 21 gets knocked loose a little bit from bump drafting, and Eddie Morrison, the 8, slows down because he sees that happening in front of him, and then the guy behind him makes contact, and everybody's just along for the ride after that.
Now, as requested, we're going to watch the in-car cam from Greg Froelich in slow motion. So let's take a look. Right now, Greg Froelich is getting pushed. He's trying to get up there, trying to catch the draft. He's got a huge gap between him and the leaders. Oh, looks like actually Provolt's in front of him. He might be experiencing some connection issues as he was blinking. But there, right now, Froelich, he sees that they're wrecking in front of him, trying to think, hey, what am I going to do here? Oh, and this view really just puts into perspective how big that wreck is. And, oh, looks like Froelich is blinking a little bit. We're going to, oh no.
Yeah, it looks like unfortunately, looks like we're denied the pleasure of this Days of Thunder moment. I don't know if he...
Oh, there, oh.
Yeah, he must have towed and gone to the pits or something. Sometimes that messes up the replay.
There you go. I mean, we see him now. Yeah, he was blinking a little bit. That's okay, though.
Yeah, but we certainly saw some images there to give you the idea that this was a full grid incident all over the track.
For those of you who don't know, in this season's update, iRacing updated smoke to make it look more realistic, and when they made it more realistic, they also made it harder to see through, and now we see Days of Thunder moments every single race where when cars spin, they produce smoke, and it makes it hard to see. So then you have to just go with your instincts. It's like racing blindfold. So you can see some pretty awesome moments with the new smoke update. I know I've had a few of my own. Russell Martin says, ouch. Yep, he's on pit road right now.
Yeah, we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, these guys had one fast repair, so now that we've sort of stacked up some cautions, some of these guys have run out of fast repairs, and they're having to take extended time in the pits to get their truck put back together. So the question will be, as we approach the final 20 laps or so of this race, that how clean can you keep your truck for the end?
For sure. As we look up front, Cody Moore was in the lead when the caution flag came out, and the fan favorite Colin Willems is in second place, and he blinked right there. Dustin Dean in third, Chris Wheeler fourth, and then fifth place right now is Joe Wright. I will say both Joe Wright and Dustin Dean have a little bit of damage. I know the nose of Joe is a little bit crinkled, and then the rear end of Dustin Dean is a little bit crinkled. That's because both of them made contact with each other, which was the main cause of our incident, bump drafting go wrong. Those two always love to work together to do awesome stuff. We remember the great Haley Deegan incident from last season, the first race of the truck series. And then in the All-Star Shootout, they had an incident. So those two love racing together. And it's definitely continuing here at iRacing Superspeedway. Again, good thing Hailie Deegan is not in this race, or she would already be out of this one.
Still waiting for her to come back and give that return receipt to Dustin Dean, but I'm sure it'll happen one of these days.
I know. After that race, we never saw Hailie Deegan come back. I don't blame her. The iRacing Oval Series is, let me just say, an acquired taste. So, I don't know. Will we see the return, the retaliation? Time will tell.
I think she's just picking her spots. She'll come back exactly when she wants to.
Yep. Season 4, maybe. Or, I don't know, tail end of Season 3, we might see, I don't know, she might want to join the Cup Series.
So, looking at these standings, through all of the incidents that we've had, through all the mayhem, when you look at our standing, Cody Moore, iOS champion, Colin Williams, iOS champion, Dustin Dean, iOS champion. These guys tend to find their way to the front when we get towards the end of a race. So, see if they work together. Do they fight one another? Are they able to stay in the front? Hopefully we get some green flag laps to answer that question.
Yep, the cream always rises, that's for sure. Rest of the top 5 is Chris Wheeler, and you have Joe Wright up there in the top 5. Again, I do want to mention both Joe and Dustin Dean have some damage from that previous incident. Let's see if that will affect their cars. I know damage can make a big difference. I know even a little bit of damage, you could be going around 189 miles per hour, and with a little scratch you're going 171. So just a little bit of damage can tremendously affect your truck.
Yeah, a lot of times with a little bit of damage, you can keep up in the draft, but you aren't really able to step out and lead a pack yourself. So we'll have to see if some of these guys are a little bit prevented from taking the lead and getting out in front.
All right, here we go.
Green, green, green.
Green flag is back out here at iRacing Superspeedway as they cross the line. We only have 20 laps left here in this event. Cody Moore taking the lead. Kylan Willems falls in behind. And here comes Chris Wheeler. He makes his way to the 3rd spot. Dustin Dean 4th. Joe Wright 5th. Now, I remember that last green flag run, we saw the high side really flourish. Let's see if that same thing happens here, if anybody's going to move up to that high side. So far, no.
So far, the lead pack showing some patience. They're probably thinking it's time to put some laps down, maybe get a little separation from the field, and put themselves in a position to settle this amongst themselves towards the end. But we see these 4 trucks pulling away.
Yep, from Cody Moore to Dustin Dean, those 4 are pulling away just like you said. Next pack, we got Joe Wright and Sylvan Seguin trying to catch up, trying to catch the draft. See Jackson Qualley and Brian Merle Jr. also there as well. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they're going to settle in, tick some laps off, and I think we might see the action start to ramp up with around 10 laps to go. You see Joe, he's finally caught in that lead pack. So that's going to bring the number to 5. Sylvan Seguin is starting to catch up as well with Jackson Qualley behind him. Behind those 2, it's Brian Merle Jr. and Nick Mathers. So the pack is getting a little bit bigger as drivers start to catch up. I don't know if those are the only drivers that are going to be able to catch the draft. See the next drivers, it's Max McClure and Blake Hensley. Looks like Blake Hensley is actually a lap down. Yep. Oh, no, he's in 24th. Okay, that is... Go ahead.
Keep an eye on the 55 Kyle Mays. We saw him lead a lot of laps earlier in this race before he was caught in an incident. I believe he's picked up about 10 spots since we went green. We already know he knows how to get to the front. He's reminding us right now that he knows how to make the moves to get up there.
Yeah, here he goes, flying by Max McClure, and he's going to try to pass Blake Hensley as earlier, he looks like he was hooked up with the 15 of Russell Martin.
Looks like he's doing it on the high side, which I know we've been kind of belaboring the point here, but that's difficult to do on this track. We'll see if he can continue to hook it up, or he might at some point need to get down to the bottom.
Now, speaking of high side, here's Jackson Qualley up there getting a push from Nick Mather as they're trying to get a run. Both of them from the great country of Canada. So we might see 1-2, the Canada squad. I will say also Colin Willems, he's in the second spot. So also, we mentioned that a lot of the champions, iOS champions, they rise to the top. Sometimes the Canadians, they rise to the top as well.
I like to joke that everybody in iOS is either from Canada or California, one or the other. So you see these guys stick together sometimes because they know each other, or they're friends with one another, or they race with each other. And at a track like this, a Superspeedway, it always comes in handy to have drafting help with people that you trust. And right now, Cody and Colin, 1 and 2, it looks like they're happy with drafting with one another and staying up front.
Yep, and even though they're too wide, we're still getting some laps in. Finally, this has been a very, very long green flag run. There goes Chris Wheeler to the top, and oh no! Oh, he missed! Oh no! That is the worst possible thing that could happen. Looks like some of the drivers, we had some pit strategy going on, and Cody Moore was slowing down, and just to put in perspective, they're hitting 243 miles per hour, and
now we have a caution, Natalie.
All right, well, they had to get woed. You have to get woed down really fast, and I guess he couldn't get woed down quick enough. He gets extremely loose and right into the barrels, and I believe
looks like we had a separate incident on the track that ultimately brought out the caution involving Max McClure in the 19.
Ooh.
So we'll have to check on that. But the way it works on iRacing, when you hit those water barrels at the entrance to pit road, that's it. Your truck is not going to move again. You got no choice but to tow. So that's definitely an unfortunate way to.
Yeah, P was in the lead.
We're going to have to maybe ask somebody about this after the race. I'm a little confused. We just had a caution just a couple laps ago, and for these guys to have to make a green flag pit stop, I'm not really sure what happened there or why these guys didn't pit a few laps earlier.
There's the cause of the separate incident. Greg Froelich got into Max McClure. McClure into the wall. Drifts on down to the bottom of the track. And since he was down there, it looks like nobody else got involved.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that brought out the yellow. Usually when a car makes it to the bottom without collecting anyone else, the iRacing sim will let them race. So, but
could have been
regardless of that, yeah, could be. Or maybe that in addition to Colin being stuck in the pylon. Maybe that was enough to bring out the yellow.
Now, you mentioned that we saw some strategy. Now, one of the drivers that came in was Colin Willems. So we're going to actually try to pull Colin into the booth.
And it looks like almost the entire field coming on the pit road now. So,
all right.
Looks
like we're going to pull in Colin Willems right here. Hey, Colin, this is Atlee and Dylan in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Atlee. How you doing?
Doing good, and looks like we saw some strategy come into play. We were wondering, we saw a caution earlier, and we saw a lot of people go into the pits. What was the call there to go into the pits before that caution came out?
We're trying to stick together as a team. One of the Apex members was on his last lap of fuel, so we decided to make a team decision, pit together, so we could come out together. But that caution, I think, was the best thing that could have happened for us here. So we'll see how the rest of the race plays out.
Yeah, we were wondering how, what prompted you all to be in a green flag pit stop situation, given all the cautions we've had. But it sounds like maybe somebody just stayed out for track position. Is that what happened, Colin?
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. A few of us were back there. One of us opted to stay out, and the rest of us came in for fuel. But we were running top 4 as a team, so we wanted to keep it that way. So we all made the decision to make that green flag stop so we can stick together.
Got you. Well, thanks for answering the question, and good luck in the rest of this race.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, well, there you go. Asked and answered.
Yep, so interesting call there. Teammates wanting to support each other. Apex Racing, which consists of Chris Wheeler, Cody Moore, Colin Willems, Dustin Dean, and Max McLaren. I will say, in a blockbuster move, right before this race started, Cody Moore was off one of the other teams and moved to Apex Racing, which was big, very, very big.
Wow, silly season begins in iRacing Oval Series. I know we have a lot of Nick Mather fans in our Facebook Live. Nick Mather finds himself in second place, just in front of the same Colin Willems that we just spoke to. So him and Jackson Qualley are going to lead this field on the restart with just about 10 laps to go.
I will confirm that Cody Moore left Cyclone Racing to be on Apex. So just like football, basketball, here in iOS we have some blockbuster trades as well. I will say that there was no other driver exchanged for Cody Moore. It was just simply Cody Moore moved from one team to another.
Oh, so Cody got fired. Good to know. I'm just kidding.
So here we go, getting ready to restart. The young man Jackson Qualley starting in front. Outside of him, we got Nick Mather. And then after that, it's Colin Willems. So 1, 2, 3 is Team Canada. Team Canada consists of, we got Jackson Qualley, Nick Mather, Colin Willems, Sylvain Seguin, Logan Hagerman, and Derek Chaput. And then, like you said, also a lot of the iOS drivers race in California, and a lot of them race in real life. If you want to see some iOS drivers get interviewed, look up Jacobs TV. It's a kid. He went to Redwood Acres and interviewed a lot of the drivers, and a lot of them were some familiar names from the iOS series. I've watched the entire video. It's an awesome video. But here we go, getting set to go back green. Jackson Qualley takes off, and we're going to cross the line. Nick Mather, we're pretty much 3 wide, or we were for just a second. Now we're 2 wide, side by side between Colin Willems and Nick Mather. The bot squad does not know who they're going to root for. Right now, in turns 1 and 2, Colin Willems has a close nose, but it's going to ultimately be who's going to get some help, who's going to get the push. We see Joe Wright get behind Colin Willems, and we're 3 wide as here's Daniel Michel passing Nick Mather, and he now gets in front of him. Also on the outside, Sylvain Seguin and Kyle Mays are coming as well. Watch out for that 55. He led some laps early on in this race.
Some great action here at lead. You can tell as we approach the end of this race that these guys are more comfortable with these trucks, more comfortable with this track, and they seem a lot more intentional with the moves they're making, thinking ahead, planning where they're going to be, not just this lap, but the lap after. I think we're headed for a good finish.
Adam in Crystal Bastion says on Facebook, let's go. Looks like actually Colin Willems and Nick Mather have fallen behind a little bit with all that shuffling around. Up top, we got Dustin Dean in that 21 machine trying to get up front. Let's see if he can do it. He's got Nick Mather, Colin Willems behind them. I will say, though, that the bottom has more cars, and as I say that, Daniel Michel is going to move up to the top with Dustin Dean. Let's see if they can get a good run. 9 laps to go. We're seeing the desperation in these drivers trying to get up front because there's little time left here in this event.
Yeah, they say a lot in NASCAR that the last 10 laps are when the race starts. for these super speedway tracks.
Ooh.
And there is.
Daniel
we see
Michelle
it.
got a little wiggle right there. But right, I know in, for example, the Daytona 500, there's single file for pretty much the entire race, and then final 10 laps, it goes crazy. Right now, 8 laps to go. Jackson Qualley is in the lead. Corley Mather says on Facebook, let's go Nick and Colin. Colin Willems and Nick Mather right now are up on that high side trying to give Kyle Mays and Dustin Dean a good push right now.
Yeah, a lot of patience being shown right now by Jackson Qualley. Sometimes he's in the lead, sometimes he's not, but he's just staying where he is on the bottom and letting the race shake out around him. I think that's a good strategy. He can just hold this bottom, keep good draft help behind him.
Oh, Dustin Dean around!
All right, man, caution is out. Caution is out.
Big wreck, a lot of big names getting involved in that one. Caution is out. That is, whew. What a development, what a turn of events. Wow. So, I'm without words at the moment, but.
Yeah, Allie, that collected a lot of trucks. I think that might have ended the night for a lot of people that were already out of the fast repair.
Here we go. So Dustin Dean, he got clear of Jackson Qualley, got an awesome push for Kyle Mays. Everything went well. He moves down to the bottom, and he had Jackson Qualley behind him, and looks like he bumped him in the wrong place, and that just sent the 21 around. Colin Willems gets hit. Kyle Mays gets hit. And this is when chaos starts to ensue. Logan Hagerman. Oh. Let's see. 27 machine. Daniel Michelle.
Yeah,
so
just
many
collected
big
everybody.
names.
And it's hard to tell from that replay if Jackson tried to do a little bit of a bump draft there, or if he, had a run with draft help behind him right at the same time that Dustin dived down in front of him and couldn't really get out of the way in time to avoid the contact. But unfortunately, when you wreck the leader at a track like this, it's going to most likely result in wiping out most of the field, and we saw that here.
Now, let me get this up right here. We're on board with Jackson Qualley. Let's just see if we can get anything from this onboard. Yep, just maybe.
He just looks like he drove straight into the rear left corner of the truck, and when you do that, that's gonna turn around the guy in front of you. So, unfortunate incident there. Nothing intentional. Just he's racing for the lead. Dustin's racing for the lead, and they made contact in really the worst possible spot. Dustin probably had no chance of controlling that truck and keeping it from spinning. So, just unfortunate that it happened to the leader and wiped out, I don't know, 20, 25 trucks, it seemed like.
I mean, if you watch any super speedway race, you're gonna see a wreck similar to that where somebody gets on either the left rear or the right rear a little bit too far up, and that's gonna just cause the car to get unstable and get loose. Typical super speedway incidents. But still, Jackson Qualley, despite getting involved in that one, he is still out front at the moment.
Yeah, and I do think he is going to get the EOL from race control for this one. I heard some chatter on the radio. So I think he's headed for the back. And I think that's going to put Joe Wright in the lead and Nick Mather on the outside.
Let's see. Right now, we're going to go ahead and actually have the race control chat up at the moment just to see exactly when or who is going to get the EOL. You can also see, who's manually disconnected. Looks like Daniel Michelle has manually disconnected. Looks like he used his fast repair and there we go. Race control has given Jackson Qualley the EOL for that one. So he's going to drop to the back, and that's going to propel Joe Wright to the front of the field.
We currently have 16 trucks on the lead lap out of our 36 truck field. Certainly the attrition is high at this track and in this race, and with only a few laps to go, it's all about who has survived to this point with a clean truck. And we've got 6, 7, 8 trucks here in the front that are ready to put their mark on this race and get a win. So we'll see what happens.
No doubt, as here we go. Joe Wright going to be restarting on the bottom. Sylvan Seguin restarting on the top. Behind them, Nick Mather and Michael Lawrence. This is for, and by the way, I will mention that if you win this race, that means that you have automatically advanced to the playoffs. So that means you won't have to worry for the rest of the season on trying to get a win and trying to make it into the playoffs. So that should be some good confirmation for a lot of these drivers. And also, I mean, you're starting off the season with a bang by getting a win.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience, it's a great feeling to get that win week 1 and have the rest of the season to just practice your consistency and not worry about making the playoffs. It's definitely a great way to start the season.
So here we go. It's all on the pace car when he's going to pull in. Pace car drops off. When we go green, we're going to only have 4 laps left. And there's Joe Wright taking off. He gets clear of Sylvan Seguin. Green flag is back out. Here comes Nick Mather on the bottom. Joe Wright moves up to the top. Looks like he's going to maybe do some blocking, trying to prevent any lines from getting a good run. Nick Mather's going to move to the bottom to push Joe. We see Cheeseburger and Hensley. They hook up. And they're getting a decently good run, hugging the wall.
Yeah, so far, they definitely are making it work up there. A little bit surprised. We'll have to see if they get help up there, or maybe it looks like Cheese is going to work his way down to the bottom now.
Yep, so new leader Michael Lawrence with coming to 3 laps to go, but can he hold the lead? Oh, contact between the 82 of Joe Wright and Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence. Oh.
I was just about to say, Atlee, that's some pretty aggressive blocking by the 47, and unfortunately, just
there we go.
Couldn't quite keep it clean there. Let's see what happens.
We got the replay right here, right now, and let's take a look at what happened. Like you said, Michael was throwing some pretty hard blocks, and net code.
Man, you just hate to see that for it to not even be a driver incident. That's tough, but yeah, there's really not much that could be done about something like that.
Now, just to put into perspective how terrible netcode is and how terrible it is, let's take a look at Joe Wright's right front and how it wasn't even close to... Yep, look at that. Not even a scratch. And
yeah, that's about as bad as it gets, Atlee. I mean, they were... Sometimes you see netcode when a car is about to hit another car, and the sim is sort of anticipating that contact a little bit. But in this case, it didn't look like they were even going to make contact. They were sort of side by side with one another, so that's just really unfortunate.
I will say this, iRacing is an extremely realistic simulation, but netcode is one of really the only things that is unrealistic about iRacing. It's terrible when it happens. You hate to see it. It makes you cringe when you see it, because that just means that it wasn't either of the drivers' faults who were involved in the contact.
Yeah, it's just a computer programming issue. Obviously, this is a simulation, so when the trucks on the screen are making contact with one another, that also is a simulation. And so sometimes the computer thinks that there's contact when there's not, and it sends somebody off into the wall when contact shouldn't have been made, and we call that netcode, and it's just the iRacer's worst nightmare when you're in the lead like Cheeseburger was.
For sure. I will say Apex Racing is on their feet, clapping their hands. Chris Wheeler is back on the lead lap. Also, Michael Lawrence says on Facebook, well, at least I tried. You put up a fantastic effort. Was not your fault. It's a shame that ended up being the reason why you had to exit this one.
There's only one thing you can do at a race like this, and that's keep your truck clean and get it to the front with 5 to go. That's exactly what Michael Lawrence did. So, hats off to him for that. But clearly, was not meant to be tonight.
Right now, the bot squad is on their feet as Nick Mather is in the lead in that Smokes Poutineery car. I remember Smokes came up one broadcast when Josh Hall mentioned poutine, and ever since then it's been a staple of the iOS Truck Series and all of iOS. Smokes Poutineery, probably, as many people say, of course I don't know, but many people say that it is the best poutine in the Great White North. So if you're in the Canada area, go try Smokes Poutineery. I don't know how many locations there is. I know how many locations Pelican Snowball, but not Smokes Poutineery. So.
And Adley, it looks like I don't think we've mentioned this yet. This is our first of 3 attempts at a green-white checkered. So we're going to be taking this green flag with 2 laps to go. And if they can stay out of trouble, we should get a checker flag here.
That is correct. So, again, first attempt. Let's see if we'll only need to have 1 attempt.
This is a big track. It takes a long time to get back to the line. If they can make it to the white flag, they will be able to race to the end no matter what happens. But if caution comes out in the first lap, then we'll have another caution.
Also, these drivers are going to be extremely antsy to make some moves. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we might see another caution. I don't know, though. Let's see what happens.
I would love to see a green flag finish here, whether it's this green-white checker or whether it's another attempt. I just hope these guys can get to the white flag so we can see a green flag finish.
Yep, because if we don't see a green flag finish when the yellows come out and such, it's very confusing. So you're right. I mean, I hope we see a green flag finish. And if these drivers can keep it clean, we'll see some, but I don't know. Let's see what happens. Nick Mather restarting on the bottom. Joe Wright, despite being involved in that previous incident, he is up top.
Keep your eye on Devin Pacino. I believe he's in 5th. I talked about him earlier in the race when he found himself a lap down due to a wreck. Sure enough, he's worked his way back to the front at the perfect time.
Green flag, green flag.
There we go. Nick Mather takes off. Here is the green on our green-white checkered right there. He gets clear.
Oh, we've already got a wreck.
All right,
Oh,
man,
no.
caution is out. Caution is
Did
out.
somebody gill it? I hope. All right, let's take a look at the wreckage replay. Oh, no. Let's see. Looks like I saw Cody Moore involved in that one.
Yeah, we've got a guy, Keith Miller, on the radio saying, "Take a look at that restart, the race control." Not sure what happened, if somebody didn't go when they were supposed to or what, but
See, right now we're watching Cody Moore. If I need to change the perspective, I will. He's side by side with Greg Froelich. And oh no. Who's that in the wall? That's Josh Hall. Let me rewind a little bit and get it from Josh's perspective. Let's see. So we restart and Josh gets... Joe moves down to the bottom, and I don't know if Josh maybe missed a shift or something, but Devin Buccino gets right into the back of him, and Josh makes some contact with the wall. Mike Rentz gets involved.
yeah, it looked like Devin, he was really anxious to get to the bottom into the preferred lane going into turn 1, and I don't know if Josh Hall missed a shift or for some reason wasn't up to speed, and contact there caused an incident that picked up several trucks.
Let's see. Take a look at that one more time. Let's see. Let's look at the perspective from Josh Hall from the cockpit. I don't know if we can get it up. let me see. Let me look quickly to see if there's a way that I can get. There's no way. I was trying to see if I could potentially see what gear he's in, but we'll watch just to see if we see anything peculiar on the onboard cam. I did not see the dashboard turn red, which normally indicates that you need to shift.
Yeah, it might have just been kind of a chain reaction where guys got bunched up. I'm not sure.
Anything in the race chat?
The race chat is heated. I'll put it that way. There's some very frustrated people right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would be too.
Yeah. Isaiah Gill says in the chat, wow, this tire spin thing is real, which, of course, I think he knows plenty about tire spin.
Absolutely. Just take a look at our Wreckage Replay. Watch that number 2 machine. Just annihilates the entire field. And we will, again, have that memorial on, I believe, June 17th at our Atlanta race of, again, the 1 season anniversary of the incident. So that should be an exciting one. I know. I don't know. I think maybe potentially I'll have to talk with some of the leaders of iOS. We could get a plaque maybe to put at the real Atlanta Motor Speedway away from the track.
Oh, the real Speedway. Okay.
Yes. Maybe get a bus full of iOS members, go down to Atlanta, put a plaque down there in remembrance of the incident. Away from the May area, so the Speedway people wouldn't notice it.
Okay. Since last year, they've only made Atlanta that much harder to drive on iRacing. I raced a race earlier this week. It's like ice skating in a race car. It's a very difficult track. These guys are going to have an interesting challenge ahead of them when they get there.
Magic Mike says on Twitch, broadcast been looking good tonight. Thank you. It's been a fun one so far. We've seen some awesome racing as there goes Isaiah Gill getting his lap back in the interesting cupcake car. That is a very nice paint scheme. But restarting in front is Nick Mather. And then we have Blake Hensley. Shout out to Blake Hensley. He started the race in last, and he has made his way up to the second spot. He was the last person to connect into this server. He connected late, even after these drivers were gridding, and he's made his way up through the field. So let's see if he can potentially win this one. He is the biggest mover of the race, moving up 34 spots from his original starting position.
Yeah, good old Blake Hensley. We're certainly used to him having connection issues, but no issues right now as he finds himself in position to possibly get this win. Derek Chaput in third. He's found himself back in the front after a couple incidents, and of course the legend in fourth, always looking to mix things up and still looking for his first iRacing win, I believe, or iRacing Oval Series win, I believe, is Gregory Fronek, so keep an eye on him.
Yep, that would be something cool if we saw somebody get their first ever iOS win, but here we go. We're going to have a single file restart for this one. I don't know if that'll change anything, but green flag is back out. Nick Mather gets a good jump, and it's going to take a while for the field to get grouped up just because this was a single file restart. We see people falling in line. Nick Mather first, Blake Hensley second, Chaput falls to third, and then TJ Floyd is in fourth, and the front three from Mather to Chaput, they've just ran away with this one so far. It's going to be hard for TJ Floyd to catch up.
Yeah, interesting choice by Race Control to go to single file there. At this point, we're already on the second of three green-white checkers, so it's not an issue of trying to get them to put together a string of green flag laps. It may have taken away our chance at a lot of cars having a chance at being involved in a finish, but we still have 4 trucks here racing for the lead, so can't complain too much.
Absolutely, as we see two people head up to the high side. Blake Hensley, and here comes TJ Floyd up there as well. Looks like this wasn't a green-white checkered, as we have 2 laps to go, so it might have been a green-white checkered, I guess. Looks like TJ Floyd and Blake Hensley have extended their gap between, and uh-oh! Nick Mather is slowing down and going into the pits, which I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is there. I know that there's a lot of heated conversations going on the radio right now, but I don't think that would explain why somebody in 3rd place would suddenly fall off the pace. So, not sure. But
fuel potentially, I don't know. But we're coming to the white flag right here. We really have 3 drivers in contention right now for this one: Blake Hensley, TJ Floyd, and Derek Chaput. And whoa, TJ Floyd to the very, very high side. Right now, Blake Hensley has the lead. Chaput is in 2nd. TJ Floyd in 3rd. This is going to come down to the wire for these 3. And if all 3 of them wreck, it'll come down to the 4th spot. Jackson Qualley, who's in a heated battle with Joe Wright. We're 3 wide for the lead on the backstretch. TJ Floyd moves into the lead, and they beat and bang for 2nd between Chaput and Blake Hensley. We know
that was
TJ Floyd
perfect
Go ahead.
Oh, we're wrecking behind him, but that was perfect execution by TJ Floyd. Let's see if he can hold on for the win.
TJ Floyd gets the victory here at iRacing Superspeedway.
Wow, that was a great finish. This was a wild race, mayhem from start to finish, but those 3 guys put on a show there those last 2 laps. That was fun to watch.
Let's go ahead and just watch a little replay in real time of what happened there. He just got a fantastic run on the outside and moved right into the lead. Let them fight their own battle, and then he just ran away with it.
If you go back another half lap or so, if you recall, TJ jumped way up to the high side in one of the turns and seemingly gave up his track position. I think he wanted to be in 3rd coming into the backstretch. He was expecting to get that run, and he certainly took advantage of it there to take the lead.
That is very, very smart on TJ's part, and he's getting ready to burn her down here. First race of the season, starts the season off with a bang. TJ Floyd, your winner here at iRacing Superspeedway. Let's see, can we get a good burnout?
They think they're going to get their picture first. Nope, burnout's first.
Oh, no. What's Isaiah Gill? Wait. There we go. He's going to burn it down. See some smoke. There we go. He must have been practicing for this one. We know TJ Floyd is a bit of a super speedway ringer.
He's certainly familiar with victory lane at super speedways. Very talented. He's very patient, and he knows how to put himself in the right position, as we saw Isaiah Gill getting involved in the celebration here.
Oh, yep, there you go. And then there's Blake Hensley. Barely missing TJ Floyd there during the celebration. That was a bit scary. Keith Miller is on track right now, having the time of his life in the Duff beer car.
Yep, not sure what these guys are doing. I think it's just a little bit of post-race shenanigans, but
yeah. But we do have two of our top 3 finishers in the waiting room, so let's go ahead and already just start off by pulling in 3rd place finisher Blake Hensley. Hey Blake, this is Atlee and Dylan in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Well, you started the race in the back, got into the race late, but that didn't stop you. Made your way all the way up to the field, and you were there in the end, up front for a lot of the race. And coming to that final lap, you were up front, but then we were 3 wide on the back straightaway, and then TJ Floyd ended up taking it from you, and then Chaput made a pass there as well, and you ended up settling for 3rd there. But I mean, from your perspective, what happened here at iRacing Superspeedway?
Well, I almost feel like I got cheated out of a win. I feel like we restarted on 48, and then we put the white at 49, and white flag at 50. That last restart was really weird, so I don't know what happened with that. But I'll take a third place from missing the start, almost going a lap down, then wrecking, going a lap down, coming back from it, leading, and then walking out with the top three is still pretty satisfying.
Yeah, Blake, we were a little caught off guard about why there was an extra green flag lap there as well. Not really sure what the deal was with that, but coming into that last lap there, we saw TJ kind of fall back on. It seemed like he fell back on purpose to get a big run on the backstretch. Were you aware that that was coming? Were you just trying to hold the bottom and block Derek, or kind of what was going on there on the backstretch?
Yeah, that whole last restart was just a lot of blocking. TJ, I gotta thank him a lot for not turning me, because I was throwing some pretty hard blocks there to keep him behind me, and yeah, I mean, had I not got that extra lap, would have been mine, but things happen, and we'll take what we get.
Absolutely. Well, still, good performance, starting the season off right with the third place finish. Is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. Big thanks to Stephen Black for bringing me on at Cyclone this year. This truck you see me sitting in, guy does some great graphic design work. Hit up Black Designs for all your graphic design needs. I was not forced to say that in a broadcast. Big thanks to the girlfriend for letting me have some time away to do this throughout the week, and thanks to everybody that tunes in and watches and roots for us, and thanks to y'all for the broadcast. Thanks to Max for putting on the lead.
Yep, thanks, Blake. And I love your old Smoky Moonshine paint. I particularly enjoyed the blackberries, so shout out to them.
Oh yeah, I would just suggest apple pie. That's where it's at.
Oh yeah, okay.
Head for. Well, congratulations on the third place finish, and hopefully we'll see another good performance next week at Kansas. Have a great rest of your night.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
Moving on to our second place finisher, let's go ahead and pull in Derek Shee. But before I pull him in, I do want to mention that our top three finishers, all of them gained double-digit spots from where they started. That's just a little fact there. Blake Hensley, 33 spots, Derek Chaput, 24, and TJ Floyd, 19. But without further ado, let's pull in Derek Chaput. Hey, Derek, this is Atlee in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Awesome. Well, you started the race in 26th, and you immediately made your way up through the field. We didn't really see you until about halfway, and then you were up there in the thick of things, avoiding a lot of wrecks, and then finally you were there in the end, 3 wide, and TJ Floyd ended up getting by you, but in the end, you ended up getting by Blake Hensley, getting that runner-up spot. So, awesome performance on your part. Just give us a little rundown of what happened to you here at iRacing Superspeedway.
Yeah, it was quite the race, start to finish. I got involved in an earlier wreck, and I had, I think, 2.5 minutes of optional. Thought I could ride that out, but I learned pretty quick that you can't have any damage at this track. I don't really have a whole lot of experience here, but I came in and got my fast repair with a couple to go, and it worked out pretty good for me.
Derek, I told you to put Carolina Sim Racing on the podium, and you certainly did, so kudos to you on a great finish. We saw you win the ARCA race on Monday, now at P2 here in the Truck Series. Should we be expecting a lot more of this season? What's going on with you and this hot start?
I don't know what to tell you. Don't keep your hopes up, though.
I don't know. So far, 2 wins in 3 of the iOS series. Let's see if maybe... Are you racing in the Super Speedway series tomorrow?
Well, of course.
Oh, we might see 3 of the 4 series. I don't know. Stay tuned on iRacing Oval series on Twitch to potentially see Derek Chaput potentially get 3 of the 4 of the wins on the 4 series, excuse me. But you still had an amazing race. Is there any sponsors, family members, shout-outs you want to thank before I let you go?
As always, we got to shout out Grandma Hagerman. You guys up in the booth. And even though I'm not on their truck team, I got to shout out Carolina Sim and Brett Mural's team too. I can't even remember the name of it, but I got to shout them out. Secondhand Racing, I think, is what we're called.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your second place finish, and hopefully we'll see another great performance next week at Kansas. Have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Derek.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
And now, let's go ahead and pull in your winner, TJ Floyd. Hey, TJ, this is Atlee and Dylan in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, you started the race in P20, and you quickly rose your way to the top, and you proved just how great of a super speedway racer you are by making some pretty awesome moves there in the end. We know on the start you went really, really high and made your way into the third spot, and that ended up setting you up for a last lap pass on the back straightaway. Got by Blake and Derek Chaput, and then there was no looking back for you. Just tell us a little bit about what happened there at that finish here at iRacing Superspeedway.
Yeah, I think the finish in general was a little weird. There's a lot of confusion on whether or not it was actually a green-white checkered or a green-white checkered. I don't know what the other guys said, but that was kind of confusing. I kind of thought I was just going to end up having to get second there, but it wasn't telling me it was a white flag lap, so I kind of just waited. I know Chaput was coming up behind me, and I figured if I could draft, I thought honestly that those two were going to take each other out. So I think when they touched, I just kind of drove them around them, and just the speed difference at this track was so drastic that they weren't even going to catch up just because they were racing each other pretty hard. So a little bit of luck involved, a little bit of skill, but overall, I think the last couple of laps are just kind of a mess.
Yeah, TJ, we spoke to Blake, our third place finisher, and he seemed to think he had it won on what would have been the checkered flag, except for some reason there was an extra lap there. We were a little bit taken off guard as well, but it looked like you fell to third almost on purpose there in turns 1 and 2.
I did actually. I saw Derek coming up pretty quickly behind me, and the last thing I wanted to do was have him run into the back of me or like turn me on accident. These trucks are super, squirrely on, if you get somebody hard onto you. So I just kind of let him go underneath of me, and I knew being the third car, I'd have a really good draft behind those two guys. So I'm like, well, they're either going to take each other out, or I'm going to try to send it 3 wide on the last corner and see if I can make it around. But either way, I was going to finish top 3 because I don't know what happened to everybody else, but they just disappeared.
Now, looking at your resume of super speedway races, you've got a pretty big resume. Do you consider yourself maybe a super speedway ringer?
I signed up for the Super Speedway series on, Thursdays, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I just get lucky with the iOS guys or what. I do like Super Speedways. I think tonight's race was probably a one-off. I didn't really get any practice on this track. I actually had a friend of mine over, and he was doing all the practice laps. So this was actually the first couple of laps in this setup that I ran. So I think I got a little bit of luck tonight. So I got to give a good shout out to my teammates, just sticking together, trying to figure out a game plan. Isaiah was just like, hey, stick in the back, because I got wrecked early on and I didn't use my fast repair because I knew there'd be a couple more cautions. So he kind of guided me to the back, and him, myself, Mike Rentz, and Michael White, we all kind of hung out, and so I think we had a good time over there in Operators Racing.
For sure. Well, any shout outs, family members, sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
Just 76 Operators for always letting me run their schemes. I had some issues with trading paint, so I don't know if it showed up or not, but my wife for letting me race, and then the guys on the team, they're always supportive, and you guys for broadcasting. I appreciate it.
Yep, definitely had a fun time watching you make some moves there in the waning laps, and congratulations on the victory, and hopefully we maybe can potentially see another good performance next week at Kansas. Have a great rest of your night.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Wow, that was an interesting race here for the season opener of the iOS season. It saw a lot of awesome racing, a lot of strategy, and a lot of crashes. So that was a fun one for sure. What's your take on this race, Dylan?
Yeah, Adley, it was a wild one, but we saw a lot of intelligent racing by the leaders at a couple different spots that I was impressed with. And we had some cautions sort of break things up, but I'm glad that we got a green flag finish. We saw 4 guys really battle it out there to the checkered flag, and I think we have a well-deserved winner. He ran a really smart and patient race and found his way to the top right at the end. So congrats to TJ, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, this should be a fun one. Getting prepared for next week. We're going to be racing at Kansas Speedway, our first 1.5 miles on the schedule. That should be a fun one. I love racing at Kansas Speedway. I've raced there myself in the ARCA series, and you never know what's going to happen. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in to watch the broadcast here on Intensity Broadcasting. As always, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Intensity Broadcasting on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It would be greatly appreciated. We're chugging along to 2,000 followers on Facebook, and our goal on YouTube and Twitch is still 1,000. So if you haven't already, make sure to drop a follow. Check us out on Twitter. We are halfway to our goal of 50 followers. So if you haven't already, you gotta check us out on Twitter. Always posting awesome stuff, including most recently our wonderful quote of the day. If you want to know what the quote of the day was yesterday, you need to go on Twitter, Intensity Broad 1. And then if you haven't already, if you have Roku or Fire TV, I mean, if it's 2021, how would you not have Roku or Fire TV? Then you need to download the iRacing TV app, because 7 days a week, Intensity Broadcasting, Rebels Racing Network, and HAR Esports TV broadcast the races for Intensity Broadcasting on Sundays, Tuesdays, and this broadcast right here, all of them are broadcasted on iRacing TV. So if you want to have us on the big screen to watch with your family to wind out the night, then you got to get the iRacing TV app. I'm Atlee Atman-Weasel on behalf of the entire Intensity Broadcasting team. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Over and out.